Good afternoon. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we're meeting today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and recognise the ongoing connection and contribution of Indigenous people to the land, community and culture. Good afternoon. My name's Matt Hayfield. I am Head of Transaction Banking for Victoria, and I have the pleasure of introducing today's session, Transactive Global Tips and Tricks. A number of years back, based on customer feedback, ANZ embarked on building out ANZ Transactive into a one-stop shop for your entire banking needs. Customers told us they wanted single sign-on and be able to access all their banking requirements through one portal. Over the past few years, we have been committed to delivering on this, and we have delivered additional functionality, including visibility of your loans, FX, data insights, and corporate cards, to name a few. Digital servicing is next, and you can expect to hear a little bit more about that over the next few months, if you haven't already. With all this additional functionality being delivered, we wanted to upskill and educate our customers on one of those areas. And one of those areas is via these webinar sessions. So thank you for joining us. And I'll now hand over to Heather to introduce herself and run through today's learning session, which is tips and tricks.
Thank you, Matt. Hi, everybody. My name is Heather and I work in the implementation team here in Melbourne. So I'll be taking through some tips and tricks today. If you do have any questions, we do have the chat box open, so please post them in there and we'll endeavour to answer as many of them as possible during the session. And any that we don't get to will be answered afterwards, and we'll post them on the help menu and send you a link. The session will also be recorded and we'll give you a link to that as well in case your colleagues missed it. So I will be using a demo site today, just to let you know, so it might appear slightly different to what you're used to. And we will be running through some tips and tricks to help you use Transactive better. So I'll be taking you through how to set up widgets and workspaces, your user settings, customizing grids, scheduling reports to be emailed to you, some payment things like generating MT103 reports, sending beneficiary advices, and looking at the payment audit trail. And in accounts, I'll talk to you about how to create account folders, and I'll take you through the help function where I'll show you about ANZ Digital Key, Transactive Mobile, our status page, and how to register for the next webinar that's coming up. So I'll just turn off my camera and I'll switch to the full screen mode now. So when you log into Transactive Global, you will come to the landing page, which is where you can have your widgets and workspaces. So to add a widget, you click on Add to Workspace, and you can see the ones that are available to you based on your access. So I'm going to select a few to add. To add them, you could just click on them. If you want more information about them, there's a little eye icon, so you can click on that and have a read about what it is, and you can add it from there as well. Okay, and these grids are for your own personal workspace, so it won't be in anyone else in your company, just yours to view. So when you've added the ones that you like, you can completely customize them, so you can change the size of them, you can reorder them, you can remove them if you don't want them there anymore, just by clicking the X up the top. If you have a chart, you can have a look at a different chart. Like, for example, I might want to see a donut chart, sorry, a pie chart instead. You can do that. And you can see a quick overview of the certain things that you've selected. If you highlight over, or if you hover your mouse over, you can see more information. You can add particular accounts. And you can run reports from these as well by clicking on the download a report for all the accounts above. So that's widgets. You can have a play around and see which ones are good for you. Okay. So The next thing we're going to talk about is your user settings, which is also, it's anywhere when you're in Transactive Global. You'll notice that you've got your name up the top here. Mine says demo, but yours will say your name. You can click on that, and settings and preferences will show you your customer ID, otherwise known as user group number. It will be a number for you. This is useful if you're ever completing forms relating to Transactive, or if you call the customer service center, they might ask you for that as well. Here you can set your date and time formats if you like, and you'll notice it says report retrieval code. So you can type any word that you'd like into that, and this will be used to retrieve any reports that you've scheduled to be sent to you via email. So if you schedule a report via email, which I'll show you how to do later, it does come encrypted, and you need to use this code to open the file. You'll also see your email address that is down here. So that is where any email report or alert that you set up will be sent to. So I'll click back into your name, and you've got notification and alerts. So if you want to receive emails when certain things have happened, you can turn this on, and you can turn it off at any time. So I might, for example, want to receive an email anytime a beneficiary has been updated, just so that I'm aware of it. And that will go to the email that I showed you previously. You can also change the language if you like, and you can set the landing page. So if you don't want to, when you log in, see the widgets page, you can find whichever page you like best, and you can set that to your landing page. And you'll also notice that there's the 3 previous logon attempts by yourself, just a little audit history there. Okay, so we'll talk about customizing grids in Transactive Global now. You might be aware that there's a lot of different screens with the grid view, and they all work exactly the same. They're really handy to use. It's quite similar to Excel in a way. So what you can do in the grid view, I'll just show you payments as a demonstration. If you don't want to see this menu, you can click up the top, and it's a toggle navigation. So you can hide it, and you can bring it back when you want as well. And in the grid view, you can right click on any item. So I'm going to right click on this payment that is pending approval, and it will show me what options are available to me. So I can approve, reject, recall, and I can run reports as well. Whereas if I right click on the draft, you'll notice that approve is grayed out because you can't approve a payment until it's been submitted and pending approval. So it's a good trick to right click on here. It shows you what you can do with your access at that particular time. You may also notice that there's little alerts here, and they just tell you if something's changed within the payment that you might need to be aware of. So an orange alert is more of an FYI. If I click on here, it's saying the payment might be a duplicate. So it's just to let me know, and I can choose to proceed with the payment. Whereas if you see a red exclamation mark, it means that you have to fix something before you can continue with the payment. So up the top of the grid view, you can right click on the column headers, and you can tick or untick any columns that you want to see or don't want to see. You can also rearrange the columns, so I can change the order. If I want to see the payment type on the left, you just drag it and you drop it to the desired location. These changes will be saved automatically as well, and you can resize the columns if you want to. If you want to go back to the default settings, you can just right click and reset grid columns. And you also have the option to fit columns to window as well. Okay. So we have a number of predetermined views in Transactive Global. It defaults to viewing all payments, but you might only want to see payments for your approval or for your action. So you can change it here if you like. If you want to always see that every time, you just click on settings and save settings, and this will be the screen that it remembers. So you'll only see that. So another way to run reports is by selecting the item here and clicking on reports, or you can right click and run reports that way. You also have the option to group transactions. So you can group them by value date or status, payment type, payment currency, whatever you want, and you can collapse them all by default so that you just expand the ones that you want to see. So for example, it gives you a breakdown. I can see there's 5 in draft, 2 in pending approval, etc. And I can expand them and see them. We also have the filter option, which is really handy, especially if you've got a lot of records on the page and you want to find something. So I will be showing that later, but you might want to filter by the status, or you might have the beneficiary name or whatever you've got, and it will just filter out accordingly. If you want to turn off the filter, just click on filter again. Any grid view, you can also export all the information that you see to Excel, and you can manipulate it that way if that's easier for you. That can be helpful with user access if you want to see which users you need to remove or add, that sort of thing. And you can refresh at any time to get the most up-to-date information. So that's it for customizing grids. So to get my menu back, I'm going to click here and I'm going to show you about scheduling reports. So I'll just go into the report center. Okay, and schedule reports. And click new. So this is what I was mentioning before about getting them emailed to you. So you just select which kind of report and which format you want it in and complete the fields. And you can select deliver by email. And I want to show data for the previous month. So you can select all your accounts, or you can select just whatever accounts you want as well. Select the period that you want to schedule it for. Okay. And then the frequency. So I want to receive this monthly on the 1st of every month and at 9 AM. So if I hit save here, then on the 1st of every month, I will be receiving that email to this email address in settings and preferences, and I will need to use the report retrieval code that I've set up here to open it. Just to let you know, you set that once and it stays there, but you can change it at any time as well. Okay, so let's talk about payments now. In payments, you can send beneficiary advices to your beneficiaries if you like, which will be sent to them automatically through Transactive when you have sent a payment, when you've completed a payment. So to do that, I'll just create a payment. Direct entry, for example. Add my beneficiary. So these ones have been pre-entered. And then if you click on the details icon over on the right-hand side here and scroll down, you've got remittance information and invoice details that you can enter in there. And you can tick this box, email beneficiary advice, and this beneficiary will receive an email containing the remittance information, the invoice details, and what's happened with the payment as well. So I've got an example to show you here. This is what it will look like, and you'll see that there's the invoice details down here as well. So it's just an official document to say you have made a payment to this recipient. Another thing that you can do in payments is you can generate an MT103 report for a completed international payment. So I'll have a look here. I don't think we've got one because it's a demo site, but have a look what we've got. I'm just going to use the filter, and we've got one processing, so we'd be able to do it for that. You can click into the payment, scroll down to your beneficiary. So this one's got 3. I'm just going to click on the middle one, and you'll see the option for MT103. So if you need that, it gives you a breakdown of the different fields and what they mean. Another handy thing in payments is the audit trail. So you can, if you're approving a payment and you just want to see what's happened to it previously, you can click here and click on payment audit history. So you don't have to run a report, you can just see a quick breakdown. It tells you who created the payment, when they created it, if it's been modified and by who, and you can click into that to see what was modified as well. So you have confidence when you're approving a payment. You can also print this as a report if you would like. Okay, so we also have the ability to create folders. So I'll demonstrate that in the accounts section. So some customers might have lots of different accounts and they might be managing across different geographies or different departments, and maybe they just want to break it down and only see the ones that they want to look at that time. So to create a folder, you can click on the view all up the top here. You can select manage folders. As you can see, I've already created a few. And you just type the name. So what's the state that I've missed? Tasmania. And click add, and OK. And now I can add accounts to that. So you saw I had a New Zealand one. I'll just tick these 3 New Zealand accounts. I'll right click and select move to New Zealand accounts. And I'll just do another one as well. So now I can easily differentiate between my accounts that I might need to be managing. And you can always go back to all accounts as well. And if you want to save a particular one, so you're always seeing Victorian accounts, for example, you just go to settings, save settings, and it will remember it for next time. Another thing that you can do in the accounts is you may have a credit on your account that you can't reconcile, and it could have been a check or a deposit. So we actually do have the ability to see voucher images in Transactive, which might help you reconcile. So in this screen under operating accounts, if you click into the account and locate the transaction you're needing to reconcile, you'll notice we've got a voucher image column here. And if it's got the letter Y in there, then that means there's a voucher image available. So you just click into the record and it will come up with a pop-up box. It gives you more information. And if you scroll down, there's an option to view the voucher images. So if you click on that, it will show you the image of the check or the deposit slip. And often people have written more information on there, so it helps you know where the payment came from. Okay, so I'll show you the help menu now. It's up beside your name, so you can click on the help menu. I refer to it all the time. It's very useful. That's where I found the copy of the beneficiary advice. You can see we've got a Google type search up here. We've also got promoted articles, and we've also broken it down to all the different sections as well. So you can choose which way you prefer to search. We have a Transactive Global mobile app, so I'll just search for that. If you're interested, you can look up here and it will tell you how to download it and how to use it and the features and functions. It's very handy for approving payments on the go, or if you need to see your balances and things like that. So I would recommend downloading the app and having a look at this. And we also have ANZ Digital Key. So if you don't have that already and you're using a physical token, you might want to speak to your account manager about getting ANZ Digital Key. It's a 2-factor authentication that you use with your mobile phone to log into Transactive Global. So you don't have to remember the device. You can just have your mobile phone with you and you can log in that way. So there is a video on that. That was in one of our promoted articles, if you're interested. And there's an FAQ guide as well, and it tells you all about how to download it and how to use it. Another thing that's really helpful on this page is the status page. So if you go to the help, you'll see that's another promoted article, is status page. And there's a link to it here. So this just tells you about it, but there's a link to it. If you click on there, I would recommend, say, bookmarking this page because it tells you about the operation of our systems. So if you're ever having trouble logging into Transactive, for example, there might be one part of it that's down. It will tell you what's happening, or if it's under maintenance, and it will tell you when it's expected to be back up and running. So this is live. This is exactly the same information that the customer service center would have as well. So it can save you a call and sitting in the queue for a long time. You can see it all here. The other thing that I wanted to show you in the help menu is, if you're interested, we do have another webinar coming up, which is the Economic Pulse webinar. So you can just go back here and type in webinar. Click on register for the webinar session, and here it is here. So feel free to register. It's for 1 to 1:30 next Thursday, Eastern Time. So if you've looked through the help menu and you can't find everything that you're looking for, you can definitely contact the customer service center as well. And a good way to get in touch with them is by going to the contact button here. You select your jurisdiction and your inquiry, so Transactive Global. And it will give you a one-time phone number and also a one-time access code. So this is really handy because it avoids you having to listen to the IVR and select the right options and things like that. You just go straight through to the correct option, and you'll also come through verified. So the operator will know who they're talking to, and they'll know what your inquiry is about straight away. Okay. So since we've got a little bit of time left over, I was just going to go through some of the questions that came up last time, in case you're asking those questions. So we were asked what web browsers are compatible with ANZ Transactive Global, and to answer that, it supports all modern browsers. So we've got Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Apple Safari. We were also asked about the inactivity time. So it is 15 minutes, and that is not something that we can change because it's there for security reasons. So we recommend, if you're in the middle of a payment or something, do save it if you're walking away from your desk. We've also been asked how we advise you when enhancements are made to the system. And to answer that, we would put a pop-up when you log into Transactive Global. So you might have seen pop-ups about these webinars, for example. And we also have a little notification icon in case you close the pop-up. You can click here. It will tell you if there's maintenance or if there's anything up and coming that you need to know about. We were also asked about the balances, if they are live, and the answer is yes, they are live. And if you've got old data here, you can just click refresh, and that will bring up the live balances from our systems. And just to let you know as well, Transactive does hold information for 24 months. So for 2 years, you can go back and get your reports and things like that as well. So that concludes the session today. I hope you did find it useful. Hopefully we managed to answer all of your questions as well. If we didn't, we will be continuing to answer them, and we'll post them into the help menu, and we'll send you a link for that, along with the recording as well. If you do have 5 minutes to complete the survey at the end of this, it would be really appreciated. You can tell us what you liked and what you think we can improve on for next time as well. Thanks very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.